So just a little brief intro. So we're at the Industry 4.0 Deep Tech Showcase. Each showcase, we have a different industry focus, and obviously we're excited to have Industry 4.0 companies and also panelists that are invest or contract or interested in the Industry 4.0 as a whole, but also general technology. But briefly, before we get fully into it, Deep Tech Showcase is basically a network which connects public sector corporations and investors with the innovative deep tech startups themselves. Our mission is pretty simple, though it's complex to actually execute. Our mission is to advance innovative small businesses and their solutions together with investors, corporations, and federal. Today, we also open to city and state agencies in order to accomplish this goal. So essentially what we are, the showcase is a business community for deep tech, whether it be startups that are innovating and creating the next generation of deep technologies, as well as the stakeholders. And we define stakeholders as those that open the door and allow for deep tech innovations to make it to market. So why deep tech? Why is our fixation on deep technologies? Well, two real life applications. One is we have the unsolved challenges of today, and we also have the challenges that have not yet come up but are going to come up, because as technologies develop and advance, so do the challenges we face. And so deep technologies really hold the secret and how to unlock those problems and turn them into challenges that are solvable. And really, without the partnerships between the stakeholders and the innovators, we find this is a daunting task. So why the showcase? Why? It should be simple. You would think you have people who are interested from a stakeholder perspective, whether it's government, whether it's tech scouts from major corporations, or whether it's investors. It should be easy to find deep tech startups. However, the gate theory says as follows. There is a lot of noise out there, and as a result, the gates are blocked, and companies and stakeholders have a challenge of meeting. Because these innovators are struggling to open these doors, or why are they starting to open those doors, is because the tech is often as good as the UX design is bad. In other words, their technology doesn't have the great marketing pop that maybe another company does. However, the technology itself is innovative, it is interesting, and it should be taken great pains and interest from stakeholder community. So as a result, two sides need to find a way to connect, and we believe that the Deep Tech Showcase addresses that concern. So our startups, to define them, are developing deep tech, which is kind of a ubiquitous term. It's kind of hard to define, but pioneer tech, which is patentable technology that is working to solve, like I said, today's challenges or tomorrow's challenges. But it's also dual use technology, meaning that it has application not just in the private sector, but also within the public sector. The last is that the startups that are participating in the showcase have won government funding for their R&D. I mentioned this just briefly before. Our stakeholders, as we defined, are those that open the door for deep tech technology to reach market. And we loosely define them into three segments: public sector, major corporation tech scouts, and of course, investors interested in deep technology. We help companies with three main areas. The first is getting ready to pitch at events like this, but also to approach companies through other channels. Through guided introductions, which is, the truth is, we don't just represent the companies, we also represent the stakeholders. And so it's important for the stakeholders to get a look at the companies before they get an introduction, so as to save time and save interest, so that when there is an introduction made, there's a high level of interest already established prior to that introduction happening. And the last is through the events themselves, like today's event. So we run monthly events. You can go to the next slide already, Yuval. We've run 4 of such this year. And this is our 5th event focused on Industry 4.0, as you see in the far left corner there. And we have many events coming up for the rest of the year. Smart cities, energy, autonomous systems, materials, semiconductors, aerospace and defense, space and AI, software. And we're also going to have a summit, please God, at the start of the new year, 2022. Next showcase coming up is focused on smart cities. It's on June 17th. It'll be starting at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and there will be 3 sessions. According to our tradition, there is always an open topic followed by 2 industry-specific. The first session is going to be focused on open topic, like I said, followed by connectivity, and then by mobility. So let's take a look at today's panelists as well as our companies. So starting off with the open topic, we're joined by Ryan Hatcher from Lockheed Martin, Dana Jensen from the United States Air Force, from USACO, Han Ko, from Deloitte Consulting, Jacob Han, and from MFV or Mobile Foundation Ventures, Karthi Madasamy. The first set of companies pitching are Turing Micro, Dot Incorporated, Corporation, Infinite Enzymes, Argus Technologies, and 8i. After the open topic, we're moving out within the industry events themselves. We're focused on the brain or the smart factory session. And here we're joined by Ted Machuba from United States Army Futures Command, Karthi Madasamy, also Jacob Han, Todd Stavish, Rose Chen from Wesco Distribution, Destry Grogan from Army Futures Command, from Worldwide Tech Services, Mark Bodner, from Siemens Digital Industry Software, Charles Crofer, and from the city of New York, Jen Nabarakawa. Companies pitching at the Smart Factory are Deep North, Silicon Core Technology, Franz, Fornetics, and Market Advantage, also known as Greenwich HR. And to end our day, we have the bronze session, where we're going to get into advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, and other the more heavy parts of the Industry 4.0, joined by Owen Meyer from Okai Network, Hanko from USACO, from Army Futures Command, Tim Crane, from GC International, it's Tina Tasakowag, from Autodesk, it's Vanessa Sigurdsson, from Shimizu Corporation, Shuntaro Kano, from Hexel Corporation, Robert Yancey, and from Vingia Venture, Matthew Cohen. And the companies pitching at this 3rd session are ChemCubed, HGS Global, Peanut Robotics, Newborough, and Aqua Metals Incorporated. Okay, we're going to get started. And we're actually going to open it up to our panelists just for a moment. Panelists, could you please introduce yourselves and maybe just talk about something that you're looking forward to seeing today? What would surprise you? A technology that would solve a pain point of yours, or technology that you'd like to see and make a potential investment or engage with this business. So let's start around the horn. Han Ko from USACO.
Sure, thank you. First of all, such a pleasure to being here. Thanks for the invitation. This is not the first time for me, and I found that your event is very useful, productive. I really appreciate it. What I'm looking for, I'm company that I founded, USACO Group. We're an international investment company. Our pain point is that a lot of times, just like Josh, he just the point there. A lot of times when we work with the governmental entities and then as well as educational institutions, we found that there is a kind of the gap actually between the communication. Okay, so each industry don't know how to find the right startups and organizations and technologies. Okay, so I'm here to fill the gap and bridge the gap back in a way. And then we are also international investor would like to invest as well. Thank you.
Great, wonderful. What's a technology though that you would, if you saw it, you would jump out of your seat and say, I'm investing in that today?
Well, focusing on industrial technology with the robotics and AI That's what I like to see today.
Wonderful, wonderful. How about Ryan Hatcher from Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for inviting me. This is a great honor to be part of this panel. Yeah, so representing Lockheed, many pain points. They sort of span really, I would say, all across the deep tech spectrum. I mean, on the one end, we've got maybe say conventional semiconductor, conventional electronics challenges. We've got big time swap, size, weight, and power challenges. So we're facing the end of Moore's law on the technology development side from the commercial foundries. And so we need innovative solutions to continue to shrink the power and size footprint while simultaneously increasing performance. This is a massive challenge that's really bigger than Lockheed, bigger than the defense space, but it's going to be absolutely necessary for the DoD, A&D in general, aerospace and defense in general, to leverage the commercial solutions that are coming online. That's an area that's particularly near and dear to me. My background is in semiconductors. I came from CMOS development world, but we have all kinds of challenges on AI algorithms. I would say next generation AI, 5G communications is a big one for us. Also trying to tap in effectively into these advanced comms markets. We have to be able to move fast. We have to be able to be agile. We have to push communication, advanced communication capabilities, compute, algorithms, coordination, all into the into the edge.
Yeah. Wow.
Dana and I would call it the battle space, but it's really getting into the edge, getting onto platforms. So these are massive challenges, and we're looking to tap to the best and brightest, the so-called spot market of technology in order to solve these problems.
Fantastic. I would take away from you two things: advanced comms, and then also you said decrease imprint while increasing performance. That is the challenge. Go smaller things, do bigger things.
Without the transistors underlying getting smaller faster, you have to be more clever in order, other approaches. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ryan Hatcher. Dana Jensen from the United States Air Force.
Well, I mean, of course, to echo what Ryan said, we see the swap problem all the time. And especially as we start looking at autonomous systems, a lot of the sensors involved, LiDAR and others are power hungry, right? Which causes, if you're battery powered, decreases in your range. So anything we can do to reduce power requirements for compute is going to be a big deal. Anything that looks like an alternative to the field programmable gate array, very interesting. We'll see something about that in a few minutes. I represent the Office of Commercial and Economic Analysis at the Air Force, which is really a byproduct of, again, as Ryan said, as the government has dialed back its R&D spending, we are more at the whim of the priorities of the commercial market, right? And so, and that may not necessarily align with the things that we are, prioritizing, right? Some of the best engineers in the world are optimizing cat videos, and we need to deal with we need to deal with the commercial market and mine it for dual use technology, which is exactly the point behind this meeting, right? So we're always interested in anything that reduces power consumption in compute or sensing, anything lightweighting with respect to materials. Scalability is going to be a big deal as we look at things like advanced air mobility. What materials can we operate at scale? And then, of course, you have additive firms on here from time to time and materials people. So we're always curious about new composites, new manufacturing methods, and a lot of the new vehicles we're seeing designed may have considered manufacturability as an afterthought. And we're trying to make sure that, we've got the industrial base in place, or at least the capability in place for scale to happen when the commercial market gets mature. And that's really our job, is to help people over that valley of death, that kind of TRL 5, 6, and 7 level. And we've managed, we can't write super big checks, but one thing we do is generate a demand signal. And VC comes in after a lot of the companies that we invest in because they see that demand signal from us. So, we've managed to, I think, spur about $1 billion of investment over the last year from the commercial side through VC and others, just based on our ability to, kind of triage these things and then generate demand signals that the market can see.
Yeah, dual use is the secret of the universe when it comes to finding stability as a company. We find multiple markets, one of them being obviously the public sector, what you represent in the United States Air Force or the DoD. And but the challenge, of course, is budgets goes away from the primes and goes towards the small businesses. Is, hey, can I take something which is not necessarily appropriated? This technology is not necessarily for my defense concern, and see, well, but the core technology is there. Could it assist me in the challenge that my organization is facing today?
That's absolutely right. And one of the things that we're moving away from a procurement standpoint is this idea of everything being driven by requirements, right? That we set up a requirement and then we go, accept bids for fulfilling that requirement. Now we're starting to go out and look at tech as an answer in search of a question in some ways, and to say, hey, look, here's a capability. Why don't you guys kick the tires on it and see if there's something you can do with it? So it's kind of turning the procurement process on its head. And so far, our furtive attempts to do that have been pretty successful, and we're very encouraged.
Yeah, 100%. Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Dana. Moving on, Karthi Madasamy from NFV, sorry.
Hi guys, good to be here. This is my second showcase event. I had a lot of interesting companies to watch in the first one, so I'm happy to be back. So we were an early stage deep tech fund based in Palo Alto. We invest in Series A and pre-Series A companies, so kind of seed to Series A, if you will. We have invested in companies in quantum computing, AI hardware, humanoid robotics, EV technologies. So we look for kind of core technology companies kind of moving the needle over the next decade or so. In terms of check size, we write anywhere from $1 million to $3 million initial check, and then follow on with pro rata investments going forward. What is one or two things that we're looking for maybe in this forum? We have done investments in robotics in the warehouse, the Industry 4.0 sector. There's still more to be done. So we're looking for more collaborative robots that can coexist with humans as we kind of optimize kind of more productivity. We are also looking at, we're also looking for like good sensors that actually can fit into that type of environment. And I think those are probably the two things that I would say biggest focus in terms of the Industry 4.0. We obviously look at computing, connectivity, startups broadly. So anything that applies connectivity and computing to an Industry 4.0 setting will be of interest. Yeah, I think that gives probably a good overview in terms of what we're looking for.
Sure.
Look for seeing the companies, and I will put my contact information on chat so that if any startup or partner want to reach out to understand more and work with us, so please feel free to do so.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karthi. Last panelist, Jacob, last but not least, of course, Jacob Hahn from Deloitte Consulting.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. I represent Deloitte, in particular, an aerial sensing solutions practice, but more broadly, all things robotics and autonomy. Most particularly interested today in learning about things related to AI, ML, and maybe specifically most edge computing. With a long list of customers with an even longer list of problems, and hopefully kind of the novel solutions that y'all are coming up with, or introductions that I can make between the two parties. I also, I'll piggyback on something Dana said. Customers will often come to me with a list of requirements and say, go find capabilities that meet this list of requirements. What I'd like to do is work with you all and find more pioneering capabilities and be able to come to the market and offer new ways to think about things. So thanks for allowing me to participate in today's events.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that.